A long time ago, and when I say a long time ago, like 3 months ago, before I moved into this kitchen, I used to make all my videos, and they're recipe videos. I used to make all my videos at like a marble table that I'd push up against the window, like at the far back end of my apartment. And since it was at the far back end of my apartment, like far away from a sink, a stove, like my kitchen, it kind of impacted how I saw food and recipes, because I was taking all my recipes and mentally they became a job that I kind of disconnected them from actually cooking. So for me, when I was making a recipe at this table, at this window, it was disconnected in the way that I was like, oh, well, I'm making it as cool as possible, so what does it matter if I'm taking out an extra pot, or like if I'm taking out a food processor? But I look back on a lot of those recipes and I'm like, I would never do that if I'm just making dinner. There's sometimes things where I'm like, was I putting something in a pot and then taking it out and then blending it and then putting it back? And now I still like cook at a window, I cook at this one, but I streamline things a lot more because I want to actually cook how I want to live. And it's been like an interesting journey with recipes. All that to say, I'm excited about tonight because we're just making dinner. We are gonna make a recipe that I think makes total sense. Like, it's just designed to like put it on a pan, slow roast your salmon, get it done. And that is lemon, courgette, zucchini, orzotto, orzo. And it's gonna be a nice little late summer dinner with goat cheese. I love goat cheese. So in this recipe, you'll see I'm using these things called patty pans. They're really just small zucchini in a different shape. And when I bought these at the farmer's market, I had the best intentions. I was like, I'm gonna core them, I'm gonna scoop it, and I'm gonna put like a sag paneer in it, and it's gonna be really innovative and cool. And then I was like, but wait, am I actually like, if I was actually cooking dinner for myself, would I like cut this circle around and would I scoop it out, and then would I make a stew and then blend a stew and then put the stew and the paneer back into the courgette and then bake it? Probably not. We're gonna be using these for an orzotto, which is taking orzo and cooking it in a somewhat risotto style, but much quicker. And then some slow roasted salmon. And then maybe a glass of white wine, because that sounds really nice. For this, you're just gonna need orzo, courgettes, or patty pans, or zucchini, or summer squash, goat cheese, lemon, and garlic. And then a few tender herbs like oregano, basil, mint. I'm not gonna say you have to get fresh oregano, but I got a really beautiful crop at the market this weekend, and I wasn't gonna waste it. You know, if you have the good herbs, use the good herbs. Welcome back to Justine's Mise en Place Corner, which we've learned in the last like 2 to 3 to 4 videos that mise en place just means all in place, and that means getting everything, including these patty pans, prepped. How I actually want to do these is I want to cut off tip, and then half them like this so that I can slice them thinly on a mandolin. Because what's cool about zucchini, they do eat and cook down well to where you do feel like you're getting like a noodly pasta-y texture, because if you slice them thinly, they really don't fall apart. Here, what we're gonna do is kind of make them into big noodly strips so that when it goes in with the orzo, it's kind of like a texture differentiator, but still a good bite. So we have the patty pans, or courgettes, or zucchini, whatever you want to call them, thinly sliced. This is about 1 pound, so 1 pound will yield quite a lot. I pulled out 2 pounds because I was feeling ambitious, but these 2 will go back in my fridge for a later date. And now we need to have a talk. We need to have a chat about lemons, because to know yourself is to love yourself. And I am going to be using a whole lemon in this recipe. The reason why is we're going to be caramelizing the lemons. We're going to slice it really thinly. The rind is going in, and it's going to darken, and it's going to caramelize, and it's going to lend a ton of flavor to this orzo. However, if you're already on the fence about a lemon rind, if you're like, that might be too bitter for me, that might not work for my family, that is totally fine. Just zest the entire lemon and then save some of the lemon juice, and that will be your truth. It does hurt me every time somebody makes a blog recipe and they're like, the lemon was a bit too much for me. So if you think you're on the fence there and this is dinner and you don't want to mess up dinner, just, you know, zest your lemon, keep your lemon juice. I'm just going to be thinly slicing it into medallions because that's what I want for this particular recipe. But we can be very different because you like what you like and you want to eat a dinner that you like. And lastly, we're going to grate like a ton of garlic because I feel like the goat cheese is kind of just like so in your face goat cheese without the lemon, the garlic, and the herbs to kind of be like, hello, We're here. We're very prominent. So none of that 2 cloves of garlic nonsense. Which I know you all break that rule anyways. If you see a recipe and it says 2 cloves of garlic, how many are you adding? Be honest. If it's any less than 6, I'd be shocked. And if I'm getting really serious about my garlic, which I always am, I like to grate it down to the very end of the skin. So you see like the end of the skin right here. And then add that to the pile along with everything and give that pile a good chop so that I'm not missing any garlic. Okay, completely chopped. Let the record show that that's like really only 2 tablespoons of garlic. I'm not being unreasonable at all. When I bought this salmon, I did not realize it was skinless, which takes out some of the fun, but also a lot of the work. Because if it had skin, I would first sear it, just skin side, to get the skin all nice and crispy, and then transfer it to an oven. But since it's just 2 6-ounce fillets, I'm gonna put salt and pepper, a ton of olive oil, and then cook at 350 for 14 to 16 minutes. I haven't showed you guys this yet. I'm sure it's like common. This is probably normal. I think it looks like a sandworm in Dune, but I got it in a PR box and it's meant to sit on your counter so that you can like easily grab a pinch of salt. I just don't know if it's for me yet. Feels like I'm like staring down a Muppet. We're gonna be using 2 burners for 2 things. The pasta thing and the other pan. And let me get a 1/2 cup measuring cup. Over medium heat, we're gonna do a 1/2 cup of olive oil. And we're making a full pound of orzo here, so that could serve like 4 to 6 people, depending on how hungry you are. So normally you should make 4 fillets of salmon to kind of make this recipe serve 4. Oil feels warm, so we're gonna add in the lemons carefully. They'll sizzle right away because they have a lot of liquid in them. I'm already spotting some seeds I didn't get, but that's okay. I'll get them later. Sleeves are going up, so you know it's hot. Now you can either fry the lemons really quickly and they're gonna get brown really, really fast. So when it was really, really sizzling and I just added them, I turned the heat down because I don't want that to happen. I don't want them to brown too quickly. What I want them to do is slowly caramelize. So over the course of 5 to 6 minutes, they're gonna brown the same way that just like straight up frying them would, but we're gonna keep the oil temperature low so your olive oil won't go past its smoke point. But also what's happening is the lemon is infusing with the olive oil, creating a nice like acidic base for the rest of the recipe. It's not getting too caramelized too quickly, which would make it taste really burnt and a little bit like acrid. And it's softening the bitterness in the lemon. If you decided earlier that caramelized lemon wasn't for you, just add the lemon zest a few minutes before you add the courgette and the garlic. When you see the lemons starting to get goldenish, then it's time to flip any of the ones that are getting a little too golden. They'll be sticky, which I find really satisfying. I'm gonna salt that water really quickly. About 2 teaspoons of salt. And then into the lemons, we're gonna add our garlic, our sliced courgettes. I don't know why I keep using the word courgette. I'm like not even close to remotely British. I think I don't like the name patty pan, that's why. The zucchini. And mix that to get that all coated in the oil. And this will stop the lemons from overcooking. Oh, and I mentioned this briefly earlier, but what's really gonna save you with the caramelized lemon not being like overpoweringly lemony or bitter is salt. So we're gonna do a big pinch, probably up to a teaspoon of salt in this guy. And I added a splash of water off camera. I know, very irresponsible of me. I need to start taking you with me every step. I feel like that's a pact we've made, and I won't just talk the talk like I'm doing. I will walk the walk next time. So I added a splash of water off camera, and that really helped loosen up the zucchini strands. Along with the lemon pulp will kind of seep out of the rind, so you'll just be left with the lemon rind and be like, where'd the pulp go? Same thing with any seeds of zucchini strips that you have. So if you don't want that happening, just slice around the seeds of the zucchini you're using. The strands will still hold together. The seeds and the pulp of the lemon will kind of disintegrate, but that's what makes this a nice little garlicky sauce. Looks like we're ready for the orzo. There's no minutes on this package. There's just cooking pasta perfectly al dente. Boil the pasta in abundant salted water. Nailed it. Stir gently every now and then. Nailed it. Taste for doneness 1 minute before the indicated cooking time on the package. The pasta should have a firm bite. Drain quickly and do not rinse. There's no time. Luckily, I know that it's going to take about 6 minutes. But also, what are we doing? What are we doing here? Why are you hiding this? Why are you hiding? I'm distraught. You'll see this is already turned into a beautiful nearly sauce, and that's what I love about zucchini, is zucchini lets out so much moisture, so it just easily becomes a sauce that wants to cling to pasta and wants to work with pasta. It'll also give us extra moisture, so when we crumble in the goat cheese, that'll have a lot to melt into. Okay, we've reached the 6 to 8 minute mark, which means it's time to scoop the orzo, oh god, dangerous, directly in. And this will happen every time you use a spider to move a pasta into anything. Some water is going to come with it. And isn't that the whole point? The water is the friends we made along the way. I don't know how to use that joke properly. Add, I'd say 2 ounces of goat cheese to start, and then 1/4 cup of pasta water. I haven't used this brand of goat cheese before, but if everything goes well, 8 ounces of goat cheese should make this amazingly creamy, amazingly cheesy, super easy. And for every 2 ounces of goat cheese, I'd say 1/2 cup of pasta water is good. So if you're adding 8 ounces of goat cheese, that means 2 cups of pasta water. Wow, it looks great. I just looked back at the clip before this one, and I'm beet red, but it's hot, and I'm working. And I think our salmon's done, so I put that pot behind that one. Oh my gosh, wow. Wow. Okay, so my salmon flex is that I don't usually get the white bubble bursting on the top, because I really think the slow roasting technique with olive oil on top, just 350 for 15 minutes, don't rush it, gets you really nice salmon. You're not getting a hard sear on it, but you're also not getting that overcooked whiteness that pops out. And I thank both olive oil for that and the patience of letting it cook in the oven on its own time. And the herbs should go in before you plate. I'm doing basil and mint, my favorites, together. And then oregano. Wow, dinner is done. With filming, it takes me a little bit longer, but still was an hour and a half. And something I'd totally do on a weeknight or a date night, or if I was having friends over. This is a very easy, very cozy, impressive meal. It's a great one for transitioning from summer to fall, because summer vegetables don't just stop. You're gonna have zucchini for a bit longer, but you don't want to be eating those raw zucchini salads. You don't want to be eating the same crispy cold things over and over, so it's kind of nice to use zucchini and really get it into a meal that is cozy and filling and has a bunch of micronutrients, herbs, cheese, and protein, because we need protein. Let's plate this up. Okay, first off, it looks amazing. It looks delicious. But little recipe vulnerability moment. What bothers me about big old protein on top of something is how old school it feels. And I always pride myself in being I'm a very modern recipe developer. I'm not doing steak and potatoes old school. And so seeing something plated like this, it looks like it comes from a steakhouse in 1971. I don't know, I was disappointed in myself. I was oh, but this is just so tired. But you need to eat functional dinners, you know? So maybe things are old school for a reason. I feel it's everything I want in a dinner. And maybe that means I just want to be eating a dinner at a steakhouse in 1971. I don't know. Oh my god, I take everything back. If I'm calling this old school, I think I need to retire and just do old school. Wow, okay, so it's lemony. It's for sure lemony, but the goat cheese counters that really nicely. You need the herbs. You need the herbs for sure for freshness. And the zucchini just kind of melts, but you still have some bite to it. It's a really good texture. If you don't want to buy 8 ounces of goat cheese because of grocery budget, This could probably be done with 4 ounces too. I know I should know before I make them that everything's gonna be amazing, but it is like reassuring to know this is a really, really good dinner. Thank you for making it with me. And like and subscribe.